Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. Let me tell you about today's episode. Today is my Freebie Friday series where I show you the things that I create to give away for free. I have cut files for electronic die cut machines, I have sketches, and new for 2023, I have printable files that you can use in your crafting life. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at these files for January 23. First up, let's talk about the cut file. I have been doing these for a while and they work with Silhouette and Cricut and a lot of other electronic die cut machines, but those are the two that I know the best and can be assured that they'll work in there. This is the file that I have for January. It's a celebratory file and I didn't want it to just be good for New Year's, so I tried to design it so that you could use it for a lot of different celebratory events. So we have a celebration glass here, depending on what kind of beverage you like to put in your glass. We do a lot of sparkling apple cider because we've just done that for a long time for the kids. Now this little flag I designed to hang off the stem of the glassware, and there are other flags that you can lay atop that. If you cut them in different colors, you can get a different look to the words that I have in there. So I do have the date 2023, which is the only piece that is specific to this year. The rest of the pieces will be good at any time. And I did have a little bit of trouble with cutting this file. So I would say have your cutting machine go a little bit slower if you know how to adjust the speed of your cuts. And that should be better for you. And remember that if you try to make these even smaller, you might run into even more trouble with those delicate words cutting out. So just keep those tips in mind when you're using these files. And you can overlay and inlay a whole bunch of these different pieces. I gave you lots of parts and pieces, including the reverse images, so that you wouldn't have to do as much work if you wanted to change things up. You can just pick which one you want and go ahead and cut it. If you cut everything out of white paper, you can always ink up the pieces that you want to be in different color and then go ahead and do your overlaying or your inlaying, however you want to put these cut files to use. So let's go ahead and talk about the scrapbook layout sketch. There's not a lot to talk about really. Just that this one is an 8.5 by 11 size, and if you prefer 12 by 12, I do have a example of converting 8.5 by 11s to 12 by 12s, and I'll link you up to that. And then finally, the new part for 2023 are these printable files. And if you don't know what that means, basically I have a one-page sheet of images that you can print at home or wherever if you want to print them at Kiko's or whatnot. And then you cut apart all of the elements and then use them for your crafty supply. Now I do want to let you know that when you're looking at these files on a computer screen, the colors will not look the same as they do with printer ink. And here is a good example. On the left is my computer screen, and on the right is what I printed out at home. And even yours that you print on whatever printer you're using will look different than mine because all these manufacturer inks are different. So that is just a heads up that what you see on the screen may not be what you get. Okay, moving on to individual elements. I am setting forward with this project to create some simplicity and repeatability. So circular elements will often be a 1-inch size or another size that I think could be easily used to cut out with a handheld punch or with a die set. And that way, if you have those tools at your use, then this process of cutting these elements out will be a lot easier. Of course, you could always fussy cut these out if you don't have those tools. All right, for journaling cards, and this is going to be true moving forward as well, the outer edge of the journaling card is going to be the true measurement. So in this case, these are 3 by 4s. When I'm using a trimmer to trim these out, I'm sure to leave the straight edges of the natural paper before I trim them down so that I have at least one true flat side in order to get these measurements. On this trimmer, I am trimming to this black line. Now it's a little hard to see here, but the image itself bleeds past that black line, and I did that for a couple of reasons. I know my pockets, when I use these in pocket pages, aren't usually truly 3x4. They're often quite a bit smaller, or they're often a little bit smaller. And so I like to cut mine down. And this way I give you some room to do that if that's true for you. But if you like to leave them larger or you want to use them on actual scrapbook pages, you can cut outside of that black line and then it will act as a little bit of a border. So that could be its own design element. And that way you have some flexibility with those journaling cards. Okay, other elements like these banners, I'm going to try to keep them simple enough that the fussy cutting won't drive you crazy. I know a lot of people don't like to fussy cut. I used to hate it, and I've learned to be okay with simpler fussy cutting. So this element does have a couple of little curves that overlap the edges of these banners, and you can fussy cut those around, but if you're not a fussy cut fan, you can just cut them off straight, and that'll be a simplified version there for you. All right, that is it for this month. I did keep things fairly simple with the printables this time around, but they will get more detailed as we go. And all of these can be downloaded from my blog, link in the description, so make sure you check those out. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to me. I would be happy to help. Until next time, have an artful day.